David Hart finally fights back with some more detailed and more lawyer type comments. Let's get it. What's going on, y'all? You're now watching the greatest channel that has ever existed. My name is 𝘰𝘰𝘯𝘕, and I truly appreciate you guys for being here with me. So yes, like I said before, David Hart is actually fighting back again with the SEC lawsuit that was filed against him when it comes in regards to hacks and Pulsechain and all this other stuff. Like I said before, it's going to be complete nonsense. It's going to be thrown out. He might just have to pay a small fee of $10 to $20 million. But he goes into detail about strategies of how he's going to fight it exactly. And we're going to get into details about that. But before that, I want to read comment from my subscribers. Really appreciate you guys. Love you all. All right, so the first comment that I have is from Ronaldo that says, "I'm tired of being poor too." Yes, this is with DBZen. And Xen also crashing dramatically in its price. Very annoying. New strategy, buy DBZen dip, use dividends to buy Xen dip. Yes, that's a good strategy. What I'm doing personally is that I'm buying DBZen. I have it written up here. I'm also using max mints from whatever money I get from my paycheck, from the dividends that I get from this mint. And then also I'm doing post liquidity pools against stable coins. So I'll do Pulsechain versus USDC or Pulsechain versus USDT. And then right now I'm receiving about 70% APR every single day, every single year from this. Okay. If that works, it will be really, really good. All right. So that's the best strategy that I can think until the market explodes in 2025. Next comment that we have is from Dr. Claus that says, "I need this dopamine hit. Thank you." Yes, you're welcome. Yeah, this is about, burning a lot of Xen to get more money. The more Xen you burn, the better it becomes. Okay, so burn Xen. There's many protocols that's burning Xen. Phoenix is burning Xen. Xen Doge is burning Xen. XenFTs are burning Xen. Okay, blah blah blah. Okay, and then Shaka Vibe says that considering your projection of EHEX reaching $1 and PHEX ranging from $1.50 to $2, that's why I predicted that HEX on Pulsechain is going to go up to $1.50. Anyways, your guidance on which HEX to consider is important. Investing $1,000 in EHEX will yield about 262,000 shares, whereas the same amount output in PHEX will result in 129,000 shares. Consequently, following your prediction, your EHEX holdings could potentially reach a value of 262,000, and your PHEX holdings may range from 193,000 to 258,000. Yes, thank you for this math. Thank you for doing all the calculations. Yes, if you put $1,000 into Pulsechain, and if you put $1,000 onto HEX on Pulsechain, I should say, you will get over $200,000, closer to $300,000. So that means if you put $3,000 into HEX on Pulsechain or HEX on even Ethereum, that means that you will become a millionaire in 2 years. So changing $3,000 to $1 million is fucking insane. So thank you for that calculation, Shaky Vibe. Cryptocurrency is unbelievable. Cryptocurrency is crazy. So yes, what happened? So what we have here is a Richard Hart tweet where Richard Hart talks about strategies for crypto lawyers out there that are getting sued by the SEC. By the way, the SEC has been losing a lot of cases recently. They lost the case against, they're always fighting against Coinbase and always losing. They're always fighting against RMB and always losing. So it's really, really stupid what's going on. And they're probably definitely going to lose this one too. Anyways, let's read this. The crypto lawyers out there aren't using all defenses available to them. I came up with these ideas to help them. As blockchains are communication networks, they are protected by Section 230. There's lots of other theories and case law I found to help you guys out there. It's important to use all of these defenses available to you. Shout out to XRP and Coinbase, that's what I was just talking about, for fighting the good fight for freedom, okay? So it goes into detail of all the different cases that happened in the past and how they protect your privacy and how they're relevant to cryptocurrency. Okay, so before I go into each case, I'm going to read the second tweet that he brought out. Okay, or the second part of that tweet. Okay, so he shows all the cases. Then he says at the bottom, you should also notice the defenses Coinbase is using. Failure to state a claim, no authority to regulate major questions doctrine, wallets aren't brokers, abuse of discretion, equitable estoppel, unclean hands, latches, blah, blah, blah. You should also be noticed the Torres ruling in XRP favor and Judge Catherine Polk, he has a lot of typos, Valia's ruling in favor of Uniswap's favor. She is also the judge in Coinbase's case. There's more defenses, not here. And this should be great help to you find legal folks out there. Blockchains are speech. Yes, keep that in mind. Blockchains are speech. By the way, if you want to read all the tweets that I have, and I post tweets all the time, follow me on Twitter on Bitcoin Benito. You see it right here at the bottom. Also follow me on Instagram. Follow me on TikTok. Okay. And the links are also on my subscriber page. They're also on my page to subscribe it. Okay. You do the math, you publish it, okay? Someone else checks your math, peer-to-peer, securely removing middlemen for a decade and replacing trust with mathematical proof. Yes, so this is why it's never going to go away, okay? Because you are the ones that, let's say Xen, for example, there's a blockchain, there's a line of code or lines of code, that exist in the ether, that exist in servers. Yes, it was created by Jack Levin, but it exists right now. There's nothing he can do to stop it because there's multiple copies that's out there and it's decentralized. All right. So what happens is that you are the one that mints your Xen tokens. And then you are the one that have to then claim your Xen tokens after they're done. Okay. There's other people that are checking the work of Xen, of the code of Xen, to see if it's legitimate, but they're doing this for free. Everyone's doing this for free. You can go on the GitHub page and look at the code for Xen for free. Okay. This is the same exact way that it's being done with Hex. It's being done with Pulsechain. Anyways, securely removing middlemen for a decade and replacing trust with mathematical proof. Many powerful quotes exist in these cases, which would be quite useful for public commenting periods and in defense of citizens' constitutional rights everywhere. Okay. He does says visualization and categorization make it easier for more leaves to grow on the branches in your mind. This is the same text, but so much easier to understand with indentations more easily viewed. Yes, and that's very true. So what I did was I downloaded this picture and I'm going to read it to you now. Okay, so the first topic that he has is freedom of speech, okay, and of expression. Okay, so the important part to keep in mind is that cryptocurrency code is protected speech, according to Bernstein versus DOJ and Dunger versus Daly. Okay, so I'm not going to read each case, but you can just read it right here. Okay, freedom of speech also includes banning code access violates free speech. True. Disclosure mandates compel speech. That's true. If you have to disclose everything that happens and you're afraid of disclosing stuff, you're going to be less likely to have free speech. Vague standards chill protected speech. That's also true because if you don't know what the standards are, you don't know what to say or you don't know what not to say, and therefore you say nothing at all. And then finally, anonymity enhances free speech. Yes, you're more likely to speak your mind if no one knows who you are, as long as you're not hurting anyone, right? And because it's a First Amendment right and you're not hurting anyone, speech doesn't hurt anyone. Speech is not violence. Don't listen to the nonsense that they tell you in college campuses nowadays, okay? Speech is not violence. Speech is just speech, okay? As long as you're not saying something like, oh, there's a fire in a theater or something where there's not a fire. Anyways, privacy rights, the second category. Warrantless surveillance violates reasonable expectation of privacy. Yes. So in the Bill of Rights in the Constitution, you have a right to privacy. Doing surveillance on your information, your crypto information without a warrant is a violation of your privacy. Next comment, identity verification rules countervene informational privacy. Yes, they don't always have to get your information if there's no real legitimate problem to worry about. Compelled disclosure invades privacy. Yeah, that's very similar to the previous bullet point right there. Tracking blockchain transactions violates privacy. Now, this is the funny part. People are like, oh yeah, blockchain is so hidden. There's nothing you can do or know or say about blockchain. That's actually not true. Blockchain is very public. Blockchain is very permanent. The thing about blockchain, though, is that each person just has an identification, or every single transaction that you do is just some random identification number that's like 20, 30 characters long. So it's not necessarily saying, oh, this transaction came from Bitcoin Benito. It's just saying this transaction came from 21398 WB5623. Okay. But there's ways to connect that number to Bitcoin Benito and therefore figure out who I am and what transactions I do. Okay. So keep that in mind. That being said, it's without warrants, this is, unconstitutional. Next, we have freedom of association. Yes, so this is a very important thing. This was one of the cases that they did. One of the black cases actually were about the freedom of association is directly connected to free speech. In fact, here it is. The second one that says NAACP versus Alabama. Identity verifications rules violate association. So identity, the fact that they force you to do your identity reduces the ability for you to do association with other people, your freedom to come together and have your speech in groups. Okay, I forgot to read the first part. Cryptocurrency commutes are expressive association. Yes, cryptocurrency communities, are associations. I'm involved in many communities. I'm involved in the Pulsechain community, Xen community. I went to a Xen conference in New York. I've been there twice, actually. That was just a community of people that's deciding to express our First Amendment rights, okay, to convene together, to form groups, okay? And then the third bullet point says that surveillance deters association. Yes. So if you always feel like people are watching you, oh, I got a feeling somebody's watching me, you're less likely to have an association. You're less likely to come together in groups, okay? Also, there are limits to the SEC's power. The SEC is not king, judge, and executioner. Okay, so let's read it right here. SEC versus 𝘰𝘰𝘯𝘦 devised investments on contract test. Okay. Security laws do not apply to commodities. Very, very important. Securities are not commodities. Commodities are stuff like silver, like copper, like houses, like regular houses, like land. Okay. They're regular commodities that anyone can get as long as they have the money to buy them, okay? They're not like stocks and bonds. Next, securities laws do not apply to currency like notes. Yes, you do not. Stocks and bonds are not the same like a United States dollar. They're not the same as a Nigerian naira. They're not the same as a European euro, okay? They're very, very different, and you treat them differently. Like, you go buy bubblegum with your US dollar. You don't go buy bubblegum with your Microsoft stocks, okay? So keep that in mind. No securities were where purchasers received website access. Okay. So yeah, there was no securities where the people that bought HEX, that bought Pulsechain, were able to, or HEX, I should say, were able to receive special access to a website. Okay. Next, no common enterprise. Gary Plastic Packaging Corp versus Merrill Lynch. No common enterprise with independent compelled speech violation. Okay. So there was no compromise with the speech violation. Yes, right here. Prohibits compelled speech. Yes, so you always have the right to remain silent, okay? So you don't have to speak if you don't want to. That is one of your human rights. Another one, mandated speech scrutinized right to informal privacy, okay? So mandated speech, again, you have the right to remain silent. You also have the right here, constitutional right to information privacy, very similar to the laws that I stated previously. You have a right to privacy. You have the right to remain silent. Okay. Retroactive enforcement fails due process. Yes. You can't just make up a new rule and then randomly decide to go back in the past and say, you didn't follow this new rule that we just made up today when it comes to HEX. So therefore, I'm going to throw your ass in jail. That's not going to happen. Vague standards violate due process. That's what I said before. If you make the rules very cloudy, the person that's going to engage with these rules is going to decide to do nothing at all. Doing nothing at all limits your freedom. Lack of notice violates due process. Yes, if you don't get enough information about this, you cannot learn how to defend yourself in due time. You cannot learn how to have enough time to study in order to defend yourself. Fail to provide notice and comment. Very similar to lack of notices violate due process. Arbitrary and capricious actions. Yes, so this was very, very similar to what happened in Coinbase, where they were just like making arbitrary negative things against the Coinbase ETF, where they didn't have those same rules against the Bitcoin futures ETF that was approved a year or two ago. Okay, so you can't be arbitrary and capricious. That made it seem as if you were just specifically targeting Coinbase, and that's why the SEC lost that case when they were fighting against Coinbase. Okay, monitoring blockchain transactions violate privacy, similar to what happened before. Identity verification, financial privacy, similar to what happened before, but it's financial in this case. Restricting cryptocurrency contravenes international law of self-determination. Yes, so you have the right to hold your own assets. You have the right to hold your own currency. Okay, so if you restrict cryptocurrency, if you restrict making me be able to move it from one wallet to the other wallet, from one hand to the other, you are restricting my access to have my own assets. Okay. Virtual currencies are commodities. Yes, currencies are commodities. That's why I say that Bitcoin is just digital gold. Bitcoin is literally digital gold. Bitcoin is currency. Yes, you can use, although most people don't do this, you can use gold as to buy items. Okay, you can use gold to buy items like Lamborghini. I know there was like certain places, especially in Switzerland, you can buy Lamborghinis with gold, literal gold bars, although it's not commonly practiced because it's so easy to get robbed. But you can use gold as currency. Kings back in the day will flip a golden coin to a beggar or something. That's literally what gold is treated as currency. Okay. Vague laws allow arbitrary enforcement. Said that before. With Coinbase, laws must provide fair notice. Said that earlier before. Agencies cannot expand power without congressional authorization. Yes, so if you want to change these rules, you have to go through an act of Congress. You have to go through the actual due process. You have to actually make new laws, and then the police state will then enforce these laws. You can't just randomly make up new laws out of nowhere. SEC doesn't have all encompassing power. You have to go through the legitimate steps, and checks and balances will enforce that. Okay. Crypto regulation should come from legislation. That's what I just said before. Running a blockchain is like being an ISP provider and providing data access. So all you're doing is just giving out access through your internet service provider. That's what ISP is. ISPs have immunity for third-party content, okay? So if a random person decides to put horrible, terrible, murderous, demonic, illegal content through these ISPs, it's not the ISP's fault that this person did evil things through this ISP, okay? Blockchains have user-generated content like ISP sites. Yes, so if you do something horrible and put it on the blockchain, it is not the blockchain's fault, okay? It is the person that put that information out's fault. Let's say that you made a street in front of your house and someone came to your street. It's a public street. And someone came to your street in public house and they were holding up signs of, let's say, YouTube is very strict. Let's say child suggestive pictures, okay? You are not going to get in trouble just because you made that street. The person that was holding up those signs or those pictures are the ones that's going to get in trouble, okay? Blockchain users are publishers like ISP users. Yes, so it's the publisher that will get in trouble for doing negative stuff, not the person that created the ISP. And then finally, blockchains deserve ISP protections as users-generated content networks. Same thing. The networks are, the ISPs should be protected from whatever the user generates on those ISPs because the ISP cannot control what the user does, okay? So this is very, very good. I'm very happy that Richard Heart is starting to talk more. The fact that he's talking with more confidence, with more bravado, means that this case is going to be over very, very soon. This is going to explode the price of Pulsechain, of Hex, of PulseX. I cannot wait till this happens. Unfortunately, the SEC takes very long to do things. I know they say you must have a speedy trial, but it's just bullshit. They never do their speedy trials. It's going to take about at least a year or two for this to be over. But good news, he was sued about a month or two ago. So that means that the trial should be over. Worst case scenario, he should be found innocent by July 2025. And the top of the bull run should be around October, November of 2025. So that'll give it ample time for us to have a 800x. That's what my prediction before. We're going to have an 800x growth in Pulsechain from its all-time low to its all-time high. Okay, so right now we're around the all-time low of Pulsechain. Yes, we might dip a little bit lower, but we're around the all-time low and it's going to slowly increase as time goes on. So I'm telling you all this because I thank you, I love you, I appreciate you. Let's get this money.